In this video, I'm going to show you how to operate the model Sno Trac. I'm also going to make other videos on how to charge and store this battery safely, as well as a video on just general best practices for driving to avoid breaking stuff on the machine. But in this video, we're just going to focus on how to get this thing running. So first off, you need to open your door up and grab your charged battery, and you can just stick this bad boy right in there. And then these plugs right here, you need to connect together, just like that. And then we can close the door. Actually, before I do, I will note that you can, by doing this little motion, you can stick the controller inside the cab and leave it in there while you're not using it. But we're going to take it out for right now, and we will close that door. Okay, up front here, there are these little latches. I'm going to just flick those up, and then if we lift the hood, we can also push this little hood prop into place. And here we have the power switch, and then these are the motor controllers, and underneath are the motors. So we'll turn the power switch on, and you heard those little beeps. Those are from the motor controllers, just saying that they are turned on. And then if we grab our controller, we are going to turn it on in a second by pressing and holding this red button. And we're also going to hear two little beeps from the motor controllers again, meaning that everything's paired up and ready to go. Yep. Okay, so once you hear those beeps from the motor controllers, you're good to go. But before you hear those beeps, don't touch anything on the controller, because if you do, it'll kind of offset one of your controls, and you might find it pulling really hard to the right or the left or something like that. If that happens, just turn everything off and turn it back on again. No problem. So now we are outside, and I'm going to show you how the controls work. So first of all, your throttle is right here. You pull that and the machine goes forward, and you push it to go backward. Right here, this joystick is your steering, so left and right. And you can do these at the same time, of course, to move forward and steer at the same time. These buttons right here are your lights. So if we spin this thing around, channel 3 right here turns on the bottom light, and then channel 4 goes the two top lights. So we can turn those back off. Up here, THMP is basically your top speed. For now, if you're just starting off, just set that to about 50, and that, again, is just adjusting your top speed. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these two in the driving best practices video. This is your steering sensitivity, so basically how fast it steers, how hard it steers. So you can adjust those and try them out. But yeah, we'll cover that in the driving video separately. Over here, you have your cruise control, this big red button. So if I start it going, just get it going, and then hit that button, now it'll just keep going without my input. And I can steer it still, and it'll just kind of maintain that speed, which can be good for crawling over stuff. You can also increase the speed by pulling the trigger or pushing it to decrease it. Kind of works just like a car. Okay, the other thing here is the trim. So if we watch this snowcat, it's driving pretty straight, but if we for some reason wanted it to turn while it was driving, we could give it a few taps, and now it might be hard to make out, but it's turning left. So if you notice the snowcat is turning left and you don't want it to turn left, you give it a couple taps to the right. And one thing to note here is that you hear that deeper sound there, that deeper beep. That means you're in the middle. So if we try this guy in the middle, it's actually turning a little bit to the left. So we'll give it like 3 taps to the right, and now it's driving perfectly straight. So if it's within about 3 taps of that middle with that deeper note, then you're good to go. Otherwise, I would recommend rebooting the machine and the controller, and then trying again. And if that fails, then check to see if you have something stuck in the tracks. Okay, so that's pretty much all the controls. I guess one little note is this reverse button. You can press and hold this and then move either the steering or the gas to reverse them if for some reason you wanted to do that, but probably not. But the last thing and the really important thing before putting this thing away, we're going to leave the controller on for a second and then come over to the machine and turn it off first. Now, the reason I do this is because the machine doesn't have an alarm if you leave it on. So if I forget to turn that power switch off, this machine will stay on for days until I remember. And the remote does. After about 15 minutes, it'll beep at you really loud. So if you forget to turn the remote off, no problem. It'll beep at you. And then, hopefully if that's beeping at you, you'll remember to turn this off too if you forgot. So that's why I tend to turn off the machine first and then the remote. The reason it's really, really important to turn off the machine is because if you leave this on, it will kill that battery. It'll drain it down way below the safe level, and it will basically brick the battery. You won't be able to use the battery anymore. You'll have to buy a new one. So if that does happen, you might be able to save it. Maybe contact me, but just try to avoid that at all costs. Always turn this thing off every time, and you will be happy. Okay, so that's pretty much it for how to just quickly operate this thing. Again, please check the battery charging video. That's really important. And also the video on how to drive this thing responsibly so you don't break it.